When I was growing up, I wanted nothing more than to be a cowboy, mainly because it meant fame, lots of money, and doing something I loved. But as I got older, I realized that cowboys hadn't won dick since the first Tomb Raider game came out, not to mention the fact that they have rattle me bones for an owner, which led to me giving up on that dream and pursuing something else. Yet in October of 2018, Rockstar gave me the opportunity to be a different kind of cowboy, one that had the fame, the money, and was doing something that he loved. Red Dead Redemption 2 is the best game ever. I've played through it numerous times, and even though I know what happens, spoilers, I still find myself falling in love with the gameplay, world, story, and characters the same way as I did in 2018. Taking place during the Wild West, a time and place that not only gave us a terrible Adam Sandler movie, but a time where just farting meant death. The story follows Arthur Morgan and the Vanderlyn Gang, a group of outlaws on the run after a failed robbery in Blackwater. The gang, while on the run, must navigate the changing world around them, as life of being an outlaw is slowly becoming a thing of the past. Throughout the story, you'll experience things such as loss, moral dilemmas, and it's also the first story to actually make me tear up a bit. I know, saying that probably makes me look like I'm Derek Carr in a post-game interview minus the shitty eyeliner, but Arthur's story is pretty tragic. From being an orphan who fell into the criminal life with snake oil salesman Dutch Vanderlyn, to having a son that died because he wasn't around to protect him, to being nothing more than the gang's muscle/brute force, most of Arthur's life has been nothing more than living the life of an outlaw in heartbreak. A life that has made him feel like he's nothing more than just a bad man. Yet, as you play through the game, you follow Arthur's quest for redemption, duh. At first, he seems to try and make amends for what he's done, but instead learns to take responsibility for his actions and tries to make better choices as the game goes on, which leads to one of the saddest endings I've experienced in video games pretty much ever, as long as you choose to be good. But I don't think you can talk about Arthur Morgan without mentioning his voice actor, Roger Clark. Listen, I know basically nothing about Roger Clark other than he was born in New Jersey, which is kind of sad in itself, but Roger Clark does an amazing job with his performance as Arthur. He sells every line perfectly and really brings the character Arthur to life, which even led to him getting either awarded or nominated for his performance. And while the other performances were great from the other actors, I have to say that there's one more that actually stood out to me, and that's Benjamin Byron Davis as Dutch. Dutch is a man who always has a plan to make some money. He's obviously a narcissist who gets his rocks off by manipulating people to buy into his bullshit by using a southern charm and snake oil salesman tactics. Having played Red Dead 1, I went into Red Dead 2 with knowledge of what Dutch becomes and who he pretty much was as a person. And it's not easy to change those thoughts going into a prequel that sets up the events of Red Dead 1. But that's where I feel like Benjamin Byron Davis and the writers deserve some praise, because I bought into it. Throughout the game, I got sucked into Davis's performance as Dutch that it literally made me forget everything I already had felt or knew about Dutch. And by the end, I felt bamboozled when the big thing happens and you see how far Dutch has really fallen into this sort of madness. Davis does an amazing job at being the yin to Roger Clark's gang, if that makes any sense. And it's the way these two characters progress in the entire story and how opposite they are in that progression that makes the story really fascinating. The story has a really good progression, showing off how the group is so tight-knit and how they eventually start to break apart towards the end of the game, mainly because of Dutch's actions. Chapter 5 is the chapter in which Arthur learns he has tuberculosis. It's probably one of the most gut-wrenching scenes in the entire game, and honestly one that will make you feel like you have a knot in your stomach every time you watch it, because you're literally watching an entire man's life come crashing down around him. Knowing he's only got a short time left, it's at this point in the story where I feel like Arthur's true redemption starts to kick in. The ending deserves its own talking point. If you end up at this point with high honor, then I feel like the ending is worth it. We get some tear-jerking moments during Arthur's goodbye with Tilly, Jack, Sadie, and Abigail. We learn that Micah had been ratting on the gang since Guarma, and this results in the final standoff with Dutch and whatever is left of those who will blindly follow him. After trying to flee on your horse, who you hopefully spent the entire game with, dies, giving you... Oh, God damn it. I can't fucking do it. I can't do it. I recommend getting John to safety, at least during your first playthrough, because again, it's the true ending, and not helping him, but instead just going back for the money hidden at camp makes no sense unless you just chose to be a dick the whole game. Arthur sacrifices himself to buy John time to escape, knowing that he's gone too far and that his time has come. Arthur will have a final fight with Micah, which he loses and slowly succumbs to his TB, or wounds depending on which ending you chose. If you chose the good ending, he'll lean up on a rock and look over the forest that will eventually become an Amazon warehouse. I think this ending is more satisfying because I feel like it puts a nice little bow on Arthur's story, and if you went with the high honor route, the ending feels more deserved in my opinion. The game doesn't just have a great story, it has amazing side missions with some interesting characters to say the least, various random encounters like a guy getting kicked in the face by a horse.
Lord have mercy!
A good crafting system that, as long as you're willing to hunt, will actually be fun to use. Other activities such as hunting, fishing, and horseback riding are available because why go outside and do those things when you can just stay indoors and do those things risk-free? An expansive open world to explore where you can actually just go to a theater and watch a play. It also has bounty hunting, blah blah blah, you get it. This game has a lot to offer and provides you with hours and hours of content. Apparently 182 hours of content exists in this game, which is insane because it feels like it's more. I forgot to mention one of my favorite things to do is wander around camp and interact with some of my fellow gang members. You can also provide the camp with more supplies, a better lifestyle, or even just be a dick to people.
You're a vagrant, not an accountant.
Will you please leave me alone?
I swear, you must have calluses from patting your own back.
Just get away from me!
You're old enough to start. Stop it!
Are you mad at everybody?
The game also has some amazing graphics. The level of detail to not only the characters but the world can really take your breath away sometimes, and I think the graphics being as good as they are do really help some of the performances and sell some of the big scenes in the game. Red Dead Redemption 2 also has a multiplayer called Red Dead Online. It's basically GTA Online, but not as good and it's kind of boring. It's not really that important. It doesn't really affect Red Dead Redemption 2 because I feel like Red Dead Online is similar to GTA Online, where they're just different entities, but it exists. So I just might as well mention it to you. Red Dead Redemption 2 is amazing. It's definitely a slow burn, but once you get past, I don't know, chapter 1, it really picks up. Some missions are boring, sure, but if you're someone who enjoys just getting your narrative fix from video games, then this is a must. And if you're someone who's just looking for something to play, I highly recommend this. For people who need a score to really like validate what this video is or what the game is or how good it is, the game is a 9.9. I mean, I'm going by like the Dave Portnoy rule in terms of reviewing, so yeah, it's a 9.9. Also, I think this game has a really good message. I mean, it has a lot of different messages and you can kind of take away what you want, but the one I took away is this. We can't fix the past, and the best thing that we can do is just be better tomorrow. Life is short, so stop holding on to stuff. It's not worth it. So that's it. I really can't wait for the inevitable Red Dead Redemption 3 because it's definitely one of my favorite franchises to play. Plus, Rockstar Games' quality is just unrivaled. But what do you think? Do you think Red Dead Redemption 2 is the best game ever? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you got this far in the video, maybe you consider leaving a like and subscribing. If you didn't, well, I mean, that kind of sucks. And let me know if you would like more videos like this, because I don't do them often, but I felt like Red Dead 2 needed one. And seeing as I don't have any sponsors, I'm just going to promote myself, because check out my merch store. Holidays are coming up, and maybe you want to proudly wear one of my BUSHBERRY t-shirts, hats, or something. I don't know, link is in the description below. Alright, well, bye.
Is one of you gonna get that fella's horse?
Oh, I got lumbago. It's very serious.